Well, so today we're at the contest prep center. So me and Ashley are going to do some behind the scenes for content for YouTube, but I'm also going to get a glute and shoulder training in, probably just a little bit too for my lift because I'm prepping too. So I will show you guys a couple of shoulder tips that I use for my. Okay, so this exercise is something that I like to do to kind of like warm up shoulders. So we're doing dumbbell front raises. So just nice and slow, dumbbells going from hips to about eye level, about shoulder level. And we're just going slow and controlled. Don't need a ton of weight to do this. Yeah, this is one of my favorite exercises for shoulders, and then also lateral raise and rear delt with dumbbell flies. So that's what I do for some shoulders. Okay, so for this exercise, this is a concentrated curtsy lunge with dumbbells. I never do this exercise, and let me tell you, I felt it in my upper glutes. It was very different movement. It was just super slow. You didn't need a lot of weight. So what you're doing is you're standing in a lunge stance, but then you're crossing over your back leg to, I don't know how to, like, you're curtsying. If you've ever curtsied before, that's kind of what it is. So it's not directly behind it like you're in a regular lunge. You have your foot like directly behind you, but now you cross it over. And so you're still lunging, but instead of being balanced, you just cross it over about a foot. And then you kind of just like sit into your glute. I don't know if I'm explaining it the best way, but try it out and see if you like it. You do not need a lot of weight. And then I kind of like look forward or to the ground, keep my back straight. Don't need a ton of weight, like I said, and you will feel the burn. But on the next exercise that I am doing, I'm gonna end up doing the single leg RDLs. So with this exercise, I'm targeting hamstrings. So a lot of bikini girls need some hamstrings. So you can do this with one leg, like you can just like be balancing on one leg, or you could do it how I'm doing it and you're kind of balancing with your other toe. And it's just an RDL, but with one leg, like concentrating on one leg. So you really get to focus on one single hamstring. Again, you don't need to go super heavy, just slow and controlled. So you are doing a regular RDL, but just, push back in your heels, lift your toes up, and really, really just kind of hold at the very bottom, stretch the hamstring out. And then on your way up, you always want to like pull through the heel. So I kind of imagine that the weight is bringing me down. I'm stretching my glute and hamstring at the very bottom. Hold it for like 1 to 2 seconds and then slowly go down and slowly go up to feel it. I'm gonna add these. Normally I do double leg RDLs, but I like these better. This is something that Ashley taught me to help get my hamstring tie-in to become deeper. So definitely a bikini must have for your bikini prep if you're trying to get some tie-ins like I am. This next exercise is a staple for bikini athletes like myself when you're trying to build that upper shelf. This is just the classic cable glute kickback. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to keep my back straight and I'm trying to squeeze it at the top with my glute. So I'm like pulling from my glute and hamstring up, holding for about a 1 to 2 second count, and then slowly lowering the weight. If you notice on the actual cable machine itself, it's not on the very bottom, it's raised about a foot. And then I try to keep my entire muscle engaged the whole time. So I come to the top, and then at the bottom, I try not to release the tension until I switch different sides. So I usually do about 12 to 15 reps on each side. You can go more, you can go less, but I don't need a ton of weight here. It's not about how much weight you can lift. It's more about time and retention on that muscle group. So I'm just setting up my feet. I like to sit in my heels, and then I try to keep my back from arching so my back doesn't get engaged. Hold on to the pole just for stability, and then I just kind of slowly kick back. So that way I feel the top, at the very top, I feel that top squeeze in the upper glute, 1 to 2 seconds, and then go down. Keep tension all the way throughout the motion. You can also upgrade this by standing on a plate to elevate your foot as well. So there's lots of variations to this, but this is just a classic kickback. I love adding this to my routine, especially because I'm trying to work on those glutes.
Okay, y'all, this was hard. So this is called a sumo dumbbell. I'm using with plates, sumo dumbbell squat, but it's elevated. So I have 2 benches set up and then I have a plate. You could do this with a dumbbell. You don't have to be on the benches, but just if you elevate your feet, you're able to like squat down. And so I'm really trying to go as low as possible, keeping my back straight and then squeezing with my glute on the way up. This is very hard for me because I have extremely tight hip flexors. So this motion is super hard, but it definitely, I was feeling the burn after this. I try to press my knees outward. I try to always sit into my heels, especially when you're trying to work glutes. It's important to sit into your heels and then squeeze up on the top of the movement. So this exercise was actually my favorite. So it's one that I've kind of done before once, but I didn't know if I was doing it right. So Ashley showed me how to actually engage really hard in this exercise. So you can lay on a mat, you can just be on your elbows and your knees. And so you're gonna need the lying hamstring curl machine, but instead of using it for hamstrings, we're gonna make it a glute kickback machine. So like I'm set up here, I am using my heel to push in to the hamstring curl machine and just pushing it up so it becomes a kickback machine instead. So this really targets the hamstrings and upper glute area. I was literally dying. I was literally trying not to show Ashley that I was dying. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't show her that this is hard. I have to be a baller right now, be a pro right now. So this side, you know, it was a little bit easier for me, but my glutes were screaming. You don't need a ton of weight. Maybe try 40 pounds to start, but it is hard. And go really slow so your knee doesn't even really touch the ground. It maybe just gets close and then you pop it back up, hold for a second, pop it back down. Obviously, the slower that you go, the harder it gets. The heavier that you go, the harder it gets. But just really try to engage and push through your heel. You will feel this. Definitely an exercise you must add to your routine. Okay, so this one was actually super hard. You just need bands above your knees and then you can like grab onto a bench or like one of these little glute hamstring areas. But anyway, so now I'm squeezing with my upper shelf butt area. I'm just like squeezing and pushing my hips into the pad, and then I'm trying to keep tension on the band the entire way up and down. It's really slow and controlled. This was actually a lot harder than I thought. When I was doing it, I definitely felt the burn just going slow and controlled. Do about like 20 reps, and that is called a hyper extension for your upper and outer glutes. This one burns. It doesn't look very hard, but it feels a lot harder than it looks. So I would definitely incorporate this for trying to build that upper shelf. All right, this is a favorite bikini exercise, the classic hip thrust. I hip thrust 3 times a week. I've normally been going heavier than this. I don't really ever go this light. I have 2 25-pound dumbbells on either side, but going like this and going super slow and controlled, I really felt the engagement. So it's important to keep your core controlled and thrust into the pad so that you are lying flat all the way on the very top and you're kind of, I think, interior tilting your pelvis and like squeezing through your butt cheeks and like really thrusting into it, but slow on the way up, slow on the way down, about a hip width stance. Maybe your feet are out a little bit wider wherever you feel it the most, and just kind of keep your neck and spine aligned with the pad. For the next exercise, we are doing banded hip thrust. So this is a great warm-up exercise, and then you can also we're doing abductions. So you are literally just taking the band and like slowly moving your legs inward and outward with constant tension on your glutes. It's important, like you're seeing me kind of struggle because I'm trying to thrust up while also pushing my knees outward on the band. So you can put your hands above your head, keep your core nice and tight, and we want to keep tension on the glutes and hamstring the entire time. So we're moving in and we're moving out, and that's going to really target those glutes. This was hard. All these exercises were just super slow and controlled. I would probably add this as a warm-up exercise or a finisher exercise before or after you're doing hip thrusts, because it really helps get me warmed up for some of the exercises we were doing. This exercise is a single leg press. So I have one 25-pound dumbbell on one side of it, and I'm just using my heels to push in the middle of the leg press machine. I'm sitting sideways, so I'm on one hip and I'm kind of grabbing onto the other side of the pad, keeping my core engaged and just slow and control. You don't need a lot of weight. The leg press itself is very heavy. So when you're setting it up, you don't need a ton of weight, just, only on one side, or you could do 2 10s on each side to even it out, but put your foot in the middle of the leg press. Even though you're doing single leg, we still want to press in the middle of it, so it's equal weight distribution, and it's just like a little baby leg press. You don't have to go super deep into it, and it's just targeting the glutes. And so just nice and slow down, and I always push through my heel. If you can't see it, I'm kind of elevating my toes, and then I'm just really feeling that on my hamstrings in my glutes. It's actually kind of a fun one that I normally never do. It was fun to do.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope these glute tips helped you guys with your prep. Comment below if they were helpful, or if you want to see any other, maybe some shoulder exercises in the next video. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.